Good morning, and welcome to a pregame show of the Fifth Quarter Podcast. I'm your host, Marcus Jones, the Bluff City Cowboy, coming to you live from Memphis, Tennessee. I got a great show for you guys this morning. It is officially wildcard weekend for the Dallas Cowboys. We have our first game in the playoffs today against the Green Bay Packers. So I wanted to drop in for a few minutes and give you guys some last-minute news and notes on today's game, as well as get your input on some key matchups, keys to victory, and your overall game predictions for today's game. So before we get started, we got to do a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, I see the views are growing pretty quickly. Justin Robinson, thank you for joining. Good morning to you as well. And Hector Rosario, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you joining us from YouTube this morning. So the views are going up pretty quick. I see those likes are still pretty low. So let's get those likes to match those views. So as you guys are watching, wherever you're watching from Facebook, hit that like button. You can hit like, you can hit love, you can hit hate. We take all the engagement we can get at the Fifth Quarter Podcast. Also, if you're watching from Facebook, if you get a chance, be sure to go over to youtube.com and look up DC4L. DC4L now has a YouTube channel that is up and started. So help us to get those subscribers up. Hit that subscribe button to help build engagement over there. And also, while you guys are on YouTube, make sure you guys go find me at Bluff City Cowboys. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell also, so that you'll be updated with any future Fifth Quarter Podcast episodes. I put the link in the comments for all you guys to take a second, go over, hit that subscribe button, help me on my path to 1,000. Christopher Fikar, thank you for joining us. Definitely looking for a good game today. Let's go, Cowboys. We got Fer Rolone joining us all the way from Puerto Rico. So thank you for tuning in. Definitely appreciate your support. Definitely looking forward to having a good game today against the Green Bay Packers. Michael J. Karen, thank you for joining us. Priscilla Holden, thank you for joining. And if you love the Cowboys, Priscilla, you are at the right place, because this is a diehard Cowboys fan base in the Fifth Quarter Podcast. So I'm not going to hold you guys long. If you guys are familiar with our pregame show, I'm going to hit you with a few of our injury reports for today's game. Then I'm going to give you guys a couple of my keys to victory. And then from there, I'll get you guys input and you can give me your game predictions. And then we'll close it out with you giving me one of your bold predictions for today's game. So let's go ahead and get the show started. I try to get done by 12 o'clock. The Bills-Steelers game was supposed to be at 12, but it got moved to tomorrow. So I do have a little bit more time if I need it, but I still try to stick to that 12 p.m. Central Time end date for the pregame show. So let's go ahead and hop into it, and we'll start off first with our injury report for this week's game. Not a lot to really report on the Dallas Cowboys side. There's been a bug kind of going through the facility for the past couple of weeks, but for the most part, going into this game, we're pretty clean. Tyler Smith was dealing with that plantar fascia tear, but that's 100% a pain-tolerant situation right now. They're going to shoot him up, and he's going to play as long as he can tolerate it. So I expect to see Tyler Smith be a full go today. As you guys remember, Zach Martin missed last week's game. He was dealing with an illness. Like I said, it's going through the facility right now. If it were a game that we absolutely had to have, I think Zach Martin would have played last week. So I'm expecting him to play and be at 100% today. As you can see, we only have one person that's listed on the injury report, and that is our backup quarterback, Cooper Rush. He's also dealing with this same flu bug that's been going through the facility. He has not practiced this week, so he could be 50-50 going into the game. More than likely, I expect for him to play, but if the team wants to be super cautious and make sure that they clear this flu bug out of the locker room, they may quarantine him for this game and then just hope Dak can do a great job. So if the game goes as a lot of us expect, Cooper Rush probably won't be playing, and we may get our first opportunity to see Trey Lance at some point in the fourth quarter. So yeah, see the comments are still coming in. Daniel Skull, thank you for joining. Got Priscilla joining us from North Carolina. Ray Dean, thank you for joining. Um, he says Dak will have a great game. You think Aubrey hitting that 50-yard kick was helpful? Be a little bit more specific on that one, Ray Dean. What do you mean by do I think Aubrey hitting that 50-yard kick was helpful? Let me know what you mean on that one. Sorry. So yeah. Also, looking ahead to the injury report for the Packers, this one is a little bit longer, and they got a lot of key guys that are listed on their injury report. So we'll start from left to right. The guy on the far left is their star cornerback, Jair Alexander. It was reported that at some point during the week, a guy he stepped on somebody's foot, rolled his ankle, came down awkwardly. So it was a little bit up in the air whether or not he'll play. It was reported yesterday that their former All-Pro number one cornerback Jair Alexander will not be playing in this week's game. So that is a major loss for the Green Bay Packers, and it's also a major game for the Dallas Cowboys. Green Bay, coming into this game, was already bottom 3 in the NFL in pass coverage across the middle, and now they just lost their best corner, who was probably going to shift inside and cover CD Lamb. So now it looks like they're probably going to have their number 4 corner covering in the slot. Nothing but positive things for the Dallas Cowboys based on that injury. I see I got my guy Jeff joining us. Jeff, thank you for joining in. Appreciate that. William Wesley Washington saying we need to stop the run. That's definitely one of my key matches. I mean, one of my keys to victory. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Paulo Foy throwing out an interesting point. Paul Foy, I apologize. Paul Foy saying we should have a few trick plays set for Lance if he gets the opportunity. You know, I have a different opinion on trick plays, Paul. I feel like trick plays are a sign of desperation. So if we need them, I say, yeah, let's throw them in. But if we're in the normal flow of the game, I don't like to throw the rhythm of the offense off by putting in some trick play that they've probably practiced 2 or 3 times. That can put you in a negative yardage situation, or it could lead to a bad play because it's not something they normally work on. Okay, I see we got a couple more questions. Christopher Fikar asking, wonder if Lyle Collins will be activated for this game. I don't believe Lyle Collins is going to be activated for this game, Christopher. I think he's going to need at least another week before we even see him listed as a backup. Jack Meeker saying, trying to keep busy so I don't go crazy until 4. Preaching to the choir, Jack Meeker. We're all kind of anxious about this wild card week. Okay. So the next person on the injury report right here is their number 2 running back, AJ Dillon. As you guys know, I'm sorry, I was reading through the comments talking about the tickets. As you guys know, Green Bay has a very dynamic 1-2 punch. They got the big physical bruising running back in AJ Dillon. They also have the hard running, shifty running back in Aaron Jones. It looks like half of that duo is going to be out this week. AJ Dillon is out. That's probably, in my opinion, a bad thing for Dallas, because that means that Aaron Jones is going to get more carries, and Aaron Jones is far more dangerous to the Dallas Cowboys when he gets the ball in his hand. So this one will have an effect on their team as a whole, but I think for us, it has a negative impact because, in my opinion, AJ Dillon is a lot easier to stop for this defense than Aaron Jones. And just like Jeff said, we got to contain Aaron Jones today's game. He likes to run off tackle a lot. He's very good inside, getting lost and then bouncing out. and then he's dangerous out of the backfield as a catcher. William Wesley saying we need to start out fast and create turnovers. No problem, William Wesley. This show is fueled by the fan base. So whenever you put good content out there, I'm gonna put it up there, no matter what the format of the show is. And I can definitely always come back to your comments later. All right, so we got AJ Dillon out, we got Jair Alexander out. Now, this third one up here is wide receiver Christian Watson. I'm sure you guys remember the name from the last time we played Green Bay, where he had those 3 big touchdowns in the second half that created a comeback victory when we were up handily in that game. Now, he may not be out. He's been dealing with a hamstring injury for the past month and a half. When you think of hamstring injuries, you don't really think that's something serious. But when you're a big 6'4", 220-pound receiver that runs a 4.3 legitimately, those hamstrings can cause a lot of problems because those hamstrings are your start and your stop. And when you're moving that fast and you're that big, all it takes is one time and that hamstring can pop again. So I'm putting him on the injury report, but let's, for all intents and purposes, assume that he is going to play in today's game. But just be mindful of that hamstring and pay close attention to him because he may not trust it as much, which will limit some of that athleticism and the explosive plays that the Packers normally anticipate from him. So that's pretty much all I got for today's injury report. Got a lot of great matchups in this week's game. We talked about that on Wednesday night. Losing Jair Alexander was a huge loss for them, so I hope our offense can take advantage of that. So Jack Meeker saying he's questionable. He's definitely questionable, Jack, but like I said, when you're dealing with a guy that big and that fast with a hamstring injury, even though it says he's going to play, that thing could pop on the first snap. So you definitely got to pay close attention to that. So let's keep the show moving ahead. We're at 13 minutes. Thank you guys for joining us. For you guys who are new to the show, we are fueled by questions and comments. So if you have a question, you have a comment, put it in the chat. I'm going to get to it. I'm going to put as many as I can on the screen. I love having dialogue with the fan base because you guys are extremely knowledgeable, and I learn just as much from you guys as you guys learn from me as you're watching. So I see we got a lot of people putting a lot of great comments up here. Let's go to our next segment of the show, and that is our keys to victory for this week's game. So I'm going to give you guys 3 keys that I think we need to follow to have a successful day against the Green Bay Packers. And a lot of these have already been kind of put in the comments. The first one, Jeff said this, Christopher said this. We have to place our focus on Aaron Jones. This dude is a hometown kid. He always takes these Cowboys games personal. So he comes in and he always has his best game. He feels like this is a home game for him when he's playing in Dallas. So we have to keep focus on him, make sure that he does not become a thorn in our side as this game moves forward. The second key to victory, like Michael Calderon said, have to stop the run. That's Aaron Jones 100%. I appreciate that, Jack Meeker. Special teams does matter. As you guys saw from last week, special teams can cause a lot of problems when you get kicks blocked. But luckily for us, Green Bay has one of the worst special teams in NFL. So expect to see some big returns that help change the field position for us in this game. And I see we got William Coulter joining us. William Coulter, thank you for joining us. I always appreciate you tuning in and supporting. Silverio Martinez, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you tuning in. My second point, take what the defense gives us. Now, I just told you guys Jair Alexander is out. And I also told you guys today and on Wednesday, Green Bay is bottom 3 in covering the middle of the field. Their linebackers are unathletic. They have problems in space. I don't want to call them Jalen Smiths because they're way more talented than that. But in terms of covering, they give me that Jalen Smith kind of deficiencies where you just got a big guy who looks a little clumsy in space, doesn't really know how to find where he needs to be. They're also terrible covering running backs out of the backfield. So I think this game, we have to take what the defense gives us. They're bad covering the middle. We need to keep throwing it across the middle. Run CeeDee Lamb on those drag routes. Run Brandon Cooks on those drag routes. Have Jake Ferguson hitting those 10-yard comebacks. Get the running back out of the backfield. We don't have to throw those 40, 50-yard bombs to Brandon Cooks that have not been successful the past 6 weeks. We can do 15-yard digs. We can run 12-yard in routes. Let's keep it across the middle. Let's keep it under 15 yards, and let's just move our way down the field. Our guys have been really good at yards after catch, so let's just get the ball in our big playmakers' hands and let them keep the ball moving down the field. Don't do anything cute. Don't do any trick plays. Take what the defense gives us today. I see we got a Facebook user saying, I think Cooks will have a good game today. You know, there's been a statistic getting thrown out all week that whenever Brandon Cooks has at least 20 yards receiving, the Cowboys win. Let's hope we keep that trend going today. Let's hope Brandon Cooks does have a good game. Jeff saying Dallas needs to win the Super Bowl for your mom and my dad. Definitely do. It's going to be hard if we do go to the Super Bowl, but that's a story for another day. I'll probably talk about that as we get closer to that date. Jeff throwing out a great point saying, let's throw it to Turpin out of the backfield. If we put Turpin in the backfield, they definitely will not have an answer for that. Silberio saying Rico playing today. Rico is definitely playing today. I hope they both show out. They definitely have some opportunities. Going back to my second point, just like Priscilla said, keep it short, keep it smart. 10 yards and in, take what the defense gives us. All right, now, this is my last point. This one is extremely important. I talked about Christian Watson and how he's an explosive, big vertical guy, similar to a DK Metcalf. Jordan Love loves throwing the ball down the field. He loves taking 7-step drops. They love doing long developing routes. We cannot allow this offense to do what they want. We cannot let them go vertical on us. All of their receivers are 6'2", 200 pounds. They're all 40-inch vertical guys, 50-50 ball guys. They thrive off the quarterback letting them get 20, 30 yards downfield. He'll throw it up. He'll throw up a prayer, and they try to answer it. So we cannot allow them to get into the offense that they want to get into. We have to get pressure on the quarterback. Jordan Love loves these vertical routes, but they take a long time to develop. So our pass rush has to get home quickly. And if it gets home quickly, their receivers are not good route runners. They're all extremely young. I think the most veteran receiver they have may be a third-year guy. So everybody's kind of new to the NFL. Most of them are first-year guys or second-year guys who didn't play much last year. So nobody's really a nuanced route runner. So if we keep them inside of 5 to 10 yards, they don't know how to get separation. And if you don't know how to get separation against our cornerbacks, they're going to make you pay every time because our guys get their hands on the ball better than any defense in the NFL. So we cannot allow them to throw vertical. We have to keep the game inside of 15 yards for us on offense as well as for them on offense. Because 15 yards in is an advantage for us. It's a disadvantage for the Green Bay Packers. B. Neil Christian asking a question, will Trey be quarterback 2 today with Rush dealing with illness? We just talked about that briefly, B. Neil. Cooper Rush is dealing with an injury. There's been a flu bug going through the facility for the past month. Based off the injury report, it looks like Cooper Rush may be one of the last ones going through this illness. So there's a strong chance they may sit him this game. just to kind of flush that bug out of the locker room completely. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him be inactive because he has not practiced all week. Um, so there is a possibility that Trey Lance could be the quarterback too today. If I had to gun to my head, choose whether or not he plays, I would say he does, only because it's a playoff game. And if God forbid something happens, I don't think you want to put the ball in Trey Lance's hands to try to win you a playoff game. So we got a lot of great comments here. We got Michael Calderon saying Cooks is going to show out. Jack Meeker saying Turpin is an X factor for the playoffs. I talked about this on Wednesday night, Jack Meeker. I 100% agree. Not only from the offensive standpoint of his speed and quickness, but also from the special team standpoint. I see we got Amanda Foster joining us. Thank you for joining, Amanda. William Wesley Washington, pretty much breaking down all the things I said. Mental awareness. We have to be mentally sharp this game. Remember our keys. Trust what we saw in the film room and go out there and make it happen. William Coulter, we have to keep pressure on the quarterback. That's just like I'm saying, going back to my don't let them throw vertical. I talked about this a little bit Wednesday night, but we had such a great guest with Micah Parsons' dad, Terrence Parsons, join us. If you guys missed Wednesday night show, make sure you guys go back and watch that because it was a great conversation with Micah Parsons' dad, who's also a diehard Cowboys fan. So I didn't really get to touch base on a lot of the keys that I normally touch base on during the week. Jordan Love has one of the longest snap to pass times in the NFL. So from the time the ball is snapped to the time he throws it, it takes him longer than any quarterback in the NFL. The reverse of that is Dallas has one of the quickest snap to sack ratios in the NFL. So that means from the time the ball is snapped to the time the quarterback steps back, the Cowboys get to the quarterback quicker than any team in the NFL. So we have to keep that pressure on him because he's going to make mistakes, like William Coulter said. Amanda says this will be a Stephon Gilmore day. Please no prevent defense. Definitely can't do this against this team. Jeff says throw a few blitzes at him. I'm assuming you mean Dallas rarely blitzes. That would definitely be a nice wrinkle. Terrence Parsons kind of talked about that Wednesday night as well. Just saying we rely on our front four too much. Throw that fifth guy in there as well. B. Neal saying clock management needs to be a focus. If they do what I think they're gonna do and keep our passing game within 15 yards and run the ball, I think we should win the clock management game. Jack Meeker, Micah should definitely kill their tackle. I brought this point up Wednesday night. Their left tackle is one of Micah Parsons' former teammates in college. So they know each other very well. And Terrence Parsons also shared a very interesting point about Rasheed Walker, the starting left tackle for the Packers. He said him and Micah played against each other in the All-Star game in high school. And one of the reasons that Walker switched he switched from committing from Notre Dame to Penn State is because he did not want to see Michigan to Penn State, because he didn't want to see Micah Parsons. He'd rather play on his team. So great story by Terrence Parsons. And I'm hoping that Micah can tap into some of that stuff he saw from Penn State and make Rasheed Walker look pretty bad this afternoon. Michael Calderon saying D-Law and Parsons are great. Amanda, yes, Jair Alexander is officially out for this week's game. The injury report came out yesterday, and he's listed as out. I see we got a diehard Niners fan in the chat. One of my good friends, Terry Rudd. Thank you for joining. Good luck to you guys next week when you'll probably be facing the St. Louis Rams or the LA Rams, because I think they're going to beat Detroit today. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. All right, guys. So going through all my key matchups, all my keys to victory this week. Now I want to get you guys interactive once again. Thank you for putting all those great points in the comments about why Dallas should win this game. Christopher Fikar asked the question, makes the comment, I apologize. Would be nice for Gallup to get involved, but that ain't happening. Yeah, he's pretty much out of this lineup right now. This is the playoffs. He may get one thrown to him just because he's good at those toe tap situations. He may get one or two, but I wouldn't expect to see him be heavily involved in the offense this week. So I see Jack Meeker already getting started. He's very familiar with the show. So you guys know what's coming next. It is time for our game predictions. So I've given you guys my keys to victory. Now it's time for you guys to get in the chat and let me know what your game prediction is for this week's game. So we got Jack Meeker starting us off. He has it 37-16 Dallas. Get in the comments. Let me know what you guys think our game predictions will be for this week's game. Myself personally, when I look at this game, and I'm one of the most even keeled Cowboys podcasters you'll find. I normally watch a lot of tape. I normally give teams the benefit of the doubt. When I look at Green Bay, we have a lot of opportunities to exploit. I think we're going to get a couple of turnovers. I think we're going to get a lot of sacks because the quarterback holds the ball for so long. They're terrible covering across the middle, which is our strength. I see you guys are pretty much going 37, 30s for the Cowboys, teams for Green Bay. I want to go there as well. I'm leaning 28, 31, 34. I'm leaning 34, 23 Dallas. I think Green Bay is good enough to get a couple of touchdowns, a couple of field goals. But I do feel like it should be a fairly dominant performance. William Wesley Washington 31-17. William Coulter. My game prediction is pretty close to yours. I'm 34-23. You're 34-24. So we're kind of thinking along the same lines. Priscilla has it 28-20 Dallas. So you're expecting a much closer game. I could see that as a possibility as well. Michael Calderon has 37-24. Hector Rosario 38-17. So yeah, we got a lot of people going in the 30s with Green Bay going in the teens to low 20s. Facebook user 35-21 Dallas. Arturo Cortez has another close game. Silverio Martinez going for the full just domination, 21-3. We put up 3 touchdowns early. They only score a field goal, and then our defense just brings it home. I would love to see that happen, Silverio. I'm not one of these fans that feels like I have to see a good game. I want to see us win. We can have a good game later in the playoffs. Right now, I want to see us get in, get out, no injuries, and let's see who we face next week. Priscilla saying I can't see a wide point spread because it is who wants to win the most. That's definitely true. But if you watch yesterday's games, Priscilla, both of those teams really wanted to win as well. And both of those games were blowouts. So I could see the trend continuing in this week's game. We got Rick Steven Eckert saying step on the gas pedal, don't let off. 100% agree. Nisi Rock win 41-24. Looks like our first 40 burger in the comments. Daniel Skull 33-19. And then Terry Rudd saying worst case scenario, Dallas 34, Green Bay 35. Best case scenario, Dallas 43, Green Bay 17. I don't think we have to establish the run game to win this game. I just think whether it's running or passing, we need to keep everything within 12 to 15 yards and under and just keep the ball moving down the field. The Lunatic joining us, one of our sponsors. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you and all your support. Let Dak deal, Dallas 34-17. And then we have William Wesley Walker getting ahead again. I got a note of it, William. Yours will be the first one I hit. Eric Linwood, 40-34 Dallas. And Amanda coming in 35-27. And also saying Jair being out is very, very helpful. William Coulter bringing the comment. I want to see Mike McCarthy have good clock management. You know what? I hear that clock management thing, and to be honest, every quarterback, every coach in the NFL has clock management issues. We just notice it more because Mike McCarthy is our coach. He does have clock management problems. I won't say he doesn't, but every coach has that. So it's not just something that plagues him. So that can definitely go on both sides of the ball. Daniel Skull saying their best defense is their offense if they run successfully and control the clock. That will keep it close in the end. Everywhere else they are outmatched. I can see that as well. They do have a very talented front seven. They're not very good against the run, but if you allow their pass rushers to do their job, it could get ugly. The lunatic saying we don't have one Aaron this game and we're going to beat down the other Aaron. I would love to see that. Priscilla Holden need to play strong and smart ball all day. Definitely want to see them headed to the Super Bowl. Eric Linwood, 48-20, another 40 burger. And then Tay Mika saying CD Lamb going to stand on business. Appreciate you tuning in, Tay Mika. Looks like a first time viewer, so appreciate you joining us today. All right, guys. So it looks like we've gone pretty much through all the game predictions. So now we're going to go to one of our last segments of the show. We're at 11:49, 32 minutes in. So this show is flying by. We're going to definitely get out of here by 12 o'clock. So the next to last segment of the show will be our bowl predictions. So on bowl predictions, I want you guys to give me a statistic that can happen in this week's game. That's something that can be seen as unusual that wouldn't normally happen in a game. So William Wesley Washington started us off with our first bowl prediction for today. And he says that Bland is going to get 2 pick sixes in this week's game. So that is the example of a bold prediction from William Wesley Washington. Bland 2 pick sixes. So let me know in the comments. Give me your bold prediction for this week's game. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate that. The one on this side, I'm sorry, is reversed when I'm on camera. Thank you for the Diggs signed jersey in the back. I appreciate that. I had to get it up there. George T gave me this jersey about 3 years ago when he started his podcast, and I kind of helped him behind the scenes set it up. He wanted to thank me by giving me a signed jersey, so I definitely appreciate that one as well. So I had to put up my 2 signed jerseys behind me just to make my background look a little bit better and at least look like a professional podcaster. All right, so bold predictions starting to come in pretty quick. Amanda saying Turpin returns 1 for 6 on the first punt. The first punt, Amanda, that's extremely bold. Hector Rosario, in a normal year, I wouldn't call this one a bold prediction, but the way things have been going for Michael Parsons the past 2 months, this is definitely a bold prediction where Green Bay gets called for holding Micah. Haven't seen it in 2 months, but if we saw it today, it'd definitely be a bold prediction. Christopher Fikar saying Turpin returns to the house. Jeff, bold prediction. Ferg, 120 yards, 2 TDs. Turpin, punt return for 6. It looks like you guys are all kind of falling in line with that. Green Bay has a bad special teams and really thinks Turpin's going to do something with it. B. Neil Christian, Lamb gets 3 TDs. Definitely could see that one. Roderick Atwood saying Gallup scores a touchdown. Definitely a bold prediction for this week's game. Priscilla joining with B. Neal, also saying Lamb gets 3 TDs. Nisi Rock Win saying Tony Pollard finds the end zone twice today. So Nisi, does it count if it's passing, if it's receiving and rushing, or are you going to just say 2 times? Eric Linwood saying MP8. I don't know what that means. I assume it means something with Micah Parsons. So let me clarify that, Eric Linwood. What do you mean by MP8? And Priscilla Holden saying, now that I would love to see Turpin quick and fast and slipping past tackle. So you guys stole a lot of my thunder with the bold predictions. I guess I emphasized it too much because you guys know I'm a special teams guy. So my bold prediction was gonna be that not only does Turpin get a punt return for a touchdown, he also averages 30 yards per return. So I could see him having 3 or 4 impact punt returns during this game. So that's my bold prediction. Jeff saying Trey Lance, 2 passing TDs in mop up time. Eduardo Creasy looks like a new name. So thank you for joining us. Definitely appreciate you tuning in. Then Terry Rudd coming in. Bold prediction: Dallas lose. Belichick becomes the next head coach, and Dallas dynasty returns. If Bill Belichick is not signed to a team by the time the playoffs are over, and I can talk about this in the offseason, I can talk 20 minutes about why that'd be a bad idea, but that's just my opinion. Hopefully, we don't see that. Hopefully, Mike McCarthy exercise some of those demons and takes us pretty far in the playoffs. Okay, guys, it looks like the chat is starting to slow down a little bit. So I think we've gotten everybody's bold prediction. We are at 40 people watching live right now. We have 35 likes. So thank you guys for your engagement. The likes are almost as high as the views. So thank you guys for that. Thank you guys for all the great questions and comments. You guys make this show so easy to do because you guys always bring it in the chats, and you just don't know how appreciative I am of doing that because it's hard to sit here by myself and just stare at a camera and talk about Cowboys football. Stephen White coming in, making up for lost time, giving us his game prediction of 30-20 Cowboys and his bold prediction of 3 sacks for Osa. So I brought this point up on Wednesday night. I don't know if you guys remember it, but I talked about the guards for Green Bay. And Green Bay, the past month, has been in a very unusual situation where they have been rotating their guards on the right side. So Osa has a great opportunity to get some sacks because they've been rotating in second year guy Sean Ryan and third year guy John Runyon Jr. at guard. Both of them are pretty good against the run. Neither one of them is really good against the pass. And as you guys know on this show, we emphasize continuity on the offensive line. So when you have a position where you're rotating guys in and out, there are some chances that they're going to make some mistakes. And I think also with his strength and quickness has a great opportunity to take advantage of that. So great point, Stephen White. Osa definitely has a chance to get those 3 sacks because I don't think their offensive line is as consistent as it should be. All right, so we're at 11:56. Last segment of the show is my fantasy favorites. So I'm pretty sure most people's fantasy leagues are over. So congratulations to everyone who won their fantasy league. I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably playing fantasy football for the playoffs, probably doing more of a daily fantasy thing, or you're gambling. I don't want to say a lie, but you may be gambling also. So I'm gonna give you guys some of my fantasy favorites, not only in the Cowboys game, but as well as outside of the matchup. And for you guys who follow the show, I typically try to give you the guys who are the more unknown guys. I can easily throw out the starting quarterback, or I can easily throw out the star receiver. I try to give you guys fantasy favorites who can fly under the radar and have some big dividends. So inside the Cowboys game, I have a fantasy favorite with Tony Pollard. Green Bay is not very good covering running backs out of the backfield. The middle of their defense has struggles. Over the past 6 weeks, 4 running backs had over 80 yards rushing. So there are some opportunities for Tony Pollard to have some big runs. and he also has some opportunities out of the backfield. So I see Tony Pollard as one of those under the radar fantasy favorites who could get you 12 to 15 points in today's game. Same thing with Jake Ferguson. He's been kind of performing well the past month. I think this week he could take it up to another level just because of how bad they are against covering the middle of the field. I could see him getting 60, 70 yards on 5 catches today as well. And then, of course, the stars are the stars for this team. I don't have to say CeeDee Lamb. I don't have to say the defense. Um, and then Terry Rudd saying Jalen Reed, definitely a guy who will be a fantasy favorite on Green Bay's side. In my opinion, he's the only true wide receiver on that team. Everybody else is extremely raw. They like to move Jalen Reed around. He's kind of the love security blanket. And then Terry Rudd has outside of this game, Jahmyr Gibbs could have a big game. So outside of this game, I do have Jahmyr Gibbs on my list as well, Terry. So thank you for pointing that one out. But when I look at this game, I look at the other side of the ball on the LA Rams. Detroit is terrible against covering deep balls. You guys saw it when they played against Dallas. You saw it the following week when Addison and Justin Jefferson just completely ran through that secondary when they played against the Minnesota Vikings the last week game of the year. So when I look at the Rams team, I could go Puka Nacua, but he's the star. I like to give you guys someone who's under the radar. Look at Demarcus Robinson. Demarcus Robinson has been injured. He's come back the past 2 weeks for the LA Rams. He's gotten 70 and 80 yards receiving. I could see that number going to 100 yards this week. So if you want to put him on your fantasy team or place a bet, look for Demarcus Robinson in this week's game for the LA Rams. Also, this is a star name, but he hasn't performed as a star. Mike Evans versus the Philadelphia secondary. That secondary is awful. Mike Evans is one of the most inconsistent all-stars in the NFL. He can give you 30 yards for 6 weeks, and then he'll explode for 200. I think this is the week he can get you 200. They have to win this game. They're at home. The Eagles are decimated, and I think Tampa's going to get a lot of opportunities with the ball. Last but not least, you got Buffalo and Pittsburgh. It's going to be extremely cold. It's probably going to still be a snowy game. So look for the ball to stay on the ground a lot. And Pittsburgh has been relying on Najee Harris quite a bit the past 3 weeks. Expect Najee Harris to have a good game against the Buffalo Bills. Even if it's not a lot of rushing yards, expect him to at least get 1 touchdown on the ground. All right, guys. So that's pretty much all I have for this week's show. I see we have a couple of people who joined us at the last minute. I see we got my Cowboys family joining us, MCF. If you guys are looking for another great podcast to follow, go find MCF on YouTube as well. They have a ton of followers. Hopefully I can get to where they are one day. But thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your support. That's pretty much all I have. Thank you guys again. Great show. Be sure to join us this Wednesday, hopefully for a Victory Wednesday, as we defeat the Green Bay Packers and look ahead to our next week's matchup. And if something happens and we don't win, we will still do a show next week to give you guys kind of a recap of what happened today and talk a little bit about the season as a whole and what you guys can expect moving forward in the offseason for the Fifth Quarter podcast. So be sure to join us this Wednesday, 8:30 Central Standard Time. If you haven't done so already, be sure to go to YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Bluff City Cowboys. Also, subscribe to the DC4L YouTube channel as well. We're going to give away 2 prizes again this Wednesday night. So make sure you guys come back for that. Depending on who we face as an opponent next week, we may also have a special guest joining us, either a Cowboys content creator to talk about the game, or a content creator from their other team to talk about what we can expect. So thank you guys for joining. Appreciate your support. Um, Enjoy this little break we have right now because the game got moved, and get ready for some great football at 3 o'clock. Thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, let's go Cowboys. I will see you guys on Wednesday night.